Starting and growing your God sized dream or goal into something successful can be challenging. Am I right? But God has a thing or two to say about how to achieve success. I'm going to give you 3 biblical keys to success, tell you how Christine Kane became the well known public speaker and biblical teacher that we know her as today, and how Kobe Bryant became the best NBA player in the world. Hey there, Jenna Dexter here, Christian life and mindset coach for women. And this is Total Thrive. This is where you are empowered to confidently achieve your most thriving and purpose-filled life. If you're watching this, you are likely pursuing a dream or a goal that God may have put on your heart. Maybe you could use some encouragement to keep on keeping on. We all can use that sometimes, right? We can all use that like all the time, really. Or maybe you haven't actually started. Maybe because you don't know how to start. Or you need someone to kick you in the pants and tell you to start already. So that's what I'm doing. I'm telling you to start already because you want to know who's going to be smiling and dancing and doing the boogie woogie up in heaven because you simply started. That would be God, of course. Biblical key number 1 to starting and reaching God-sized dreams and goals is do not despise small beginnings. Zechariah 4:10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand." The Lord rejoices when you simply begin, when you simply start the thing. A plumb line, if you don't know, is a piece of string with a weight attached, used to check if something such as a wall is straight and vertical. So biblically, a plumb line is a metaphor for the work beginning. Another metaphor is a kite string. Have you ever heard of that one before? At Niagara Falls in the mid-18th century, the only way to cross the Niagara Gorge was by boat. But in 1847, a civil engineer named Charles Ellet Jr. was commissioned to build a suspension bridge across the chasm. However, even at the shortest distance, how the heck do you stretch the first cable across an 800-foot gorge with 225-foot cliffs on either side and rapids that rush toward a massive waterfall? There were no helicopters back then, and other methods used at the time wouldn't work for one reason or another. So what did they do? They had a kite flying contest. In January 1848, hundreds of kids tried flying kites across the gorge. But it was a 15-year-old named Homan Walsh who took a ferry from the American side to the Canadian side to take advantage of the winds. He was a smarty pants. He flew his kite all day and all night until sadly his kite string broke. Then he had to wait 8 days to take the ferry back because there was some issue with the ferry. So he had to wait 8 days to take it back, retrieve his kite, fix it, take the ferry back to the Canadian side, and climb 2 miles across the top of the cliffs, mind you, to try again. On January 30th, 1848, the boy's kite made it across the gorge, winning him the $10 cash prize. The kite string was attached to a tree on the American shoreline, and a cord attached to it was pulled across the gorge. Then even a stronger line, and then a rope, and then a cable consisting of 36 strings of 10-gauge wire. That kid's kite string was the beginning of the Niagara Falls suspension bridge that connected 2 countries and enabled countless of honeymooners to steal a kiss. As a side note, that bridge was replaced with the Whirlpool Rapids Bridge in 1897, but still, it all started with a boy and his kite string. If you are about to start something, or you have started something but you're a bit frustrated with the smallness of it, remember, do not despise small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices simply to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand, or the kite string in the boy's hand, or whatever the thing is in your hand that you're using to start the thing. Did you start the thing? Are you starting the thing? Start the thing. Fly the Kite is habit number 4 in Win the Day, 7 Daily Habits to Help You Stress Less and Accomplish More by Pastor Mark Batterson. I've been reading through this book chapter by chapter and talking about it right here, and I'll link the description below if you're interested in checking it out. Okay, so biblical key number 2 to starting and reaching your God-sized dreams and goals is be faithful with the little things. If you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful with large ones. Luke 16:10. Other translations say if you are trustworthy in little things, you will be trustworthy in larger things. Or as Mark Batterson says, how you do anything is how you'll do everything. Christine Caine became the well-known public speaker that we know her to be by being faithful in the little things. She showed up and served over and over again. And once, when there was a scheduled church cleanup day, she was the only one who showed up. She was the only one who showed up. And the pastor took notice of her because she was the only one there, right? He knew about her psychology background and he asked her if she wanted to be a part of a new youth center that they were starting. So here I am, send me, she thought, like she did with everything, right? Send me down the street to the community center. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't spectacular, and it certainly wasn't part of the grand calling that she believed that God had on her life. But you want to know what? God used it as a training ground to lead her into the grand calling that he had on her life, which now includes running one of the largest anti-trafficking organizations in the world. Christine Caine was faithful with the little things over and over again on her long journey toward the bigger calling that she believed she had on her life. Now let's talk about how Kobe Bryant became the best NBA player in the world. Well, first of all, the man was known for his legendary 4 a.m. workouts. Like, what time does a person have to get up in order to be at the gym working out at 4? I would imagine at least 3, right? And his work ethic was unparalleled. In 2007, he had already reached the height of success as NBA champion, MVP, surefire Hall of Famer, and all the things. And during the offseason that year, Ellen Stein went to a basketball camp that Kobe Bryant was at. Ellen Stein had spent 15 years studying and working with some of the highest performing athletes on the planet. So, to that end, one day at basketball camp, he asked Kobe Bryant if he could watch him work out. Ellen arrived early to impress Kobe, but guess who was already there working out, right? Kobe Bryant was already there working out when Ellen arrived early. And what Kobe Bryant was doing for the first 30 minutes of that workout was basic footwork and pivoting drills over and over again before he ever picked up a basketball. After the 2-hour workout, Ellen walked up to Kobe and was like, "I don't get it. You're the best player in the world. Why are you doing such basic drills?" Kobe just smiled at him and winked and said, "Why do you think I'm the best player in the world? Because I never get bored with the basics." So even after Kobe had reached the pinnacle of success, even in the off season, he's still at the gym at 4 a.m. working on the basics, practicing the basics, doing the ordinary, mundane, boring things. He was faithful with the little things, even after he'd had the biggest success that an NBA player could possibly have. He was still faithful with the little things. I'd also like to propose that it probably took a lot of humility to do those basic drills. Can you imagine? I'm thinking if I'm the best NBA player in the world, I don't need drills. I don't need to be getting up at 4 a.m. and going stupid little drills that I did when I was 10, right? That's what I would imagine a lot of NBA players think, or anyone who's at the height of their success, that they don't have to keep practicing the basics that they did when they were first learning their craft. Which reminds me of Michael Jackson, the king of pop, who was professionally singing since the age of 5 and famous and, all the things. He was still using a vocal coach throughout his entire career. And he was also known for practicing the little tiny nuances of his dance moves over and over and over again. Both Kobe Bryant and Michael Jackson faithfully practiced the small, ordinary things. In a recent video, I talked about how talent does not lead to excellence. Practicing small, ordinary things consistently right does. I'll link that video in the description. But remember, my friend, never get bored with the basics. And if you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. Biblical key number 3 to starting and reaching God-sized dreams and goals is work at it with all of your heart as if working for the Lord. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Whatever it is you're putting your hand to, whether you're taking small action to start something, did you start yet? Or you're cleaning up trash, or you're speaking on a stage talking to 10,000 people, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as if working for the Lord, not for men. Do it for an audience of one. Do it for Jesus because he's all that counts. I've led worship at churches of all sizes, from mega church to tiny church. But it doesn't matter how many people are in the room. It only matters that God is in the room and that he is being glorified. Have you ever heard the story of the 3 bricklayers? When asked what they were doing, the first bricklayer said, "I'm laying bricks." The second bricklayer said, I'm building a wall. The third bricklayer said, I'm constructing a cathedral to the glory of God. It's all in your perception of what you're doing and who you're doing it for. When Christine Kane picked up trash, she wasn't just picking up trash. She was preparing the facility for the people who would be coming to be ministered to for the glory of God. If you're like a greeter at church, you're not just shaking hands and saying hello to people. You're welcoming people into an experience where they can have an encounter with God. The person you're shaking hands with, who a second ago might have been thinking about turning around and walking away because they were kind of freaked out about going to this church, now feels welcomed. They sit down, they hear the word of God, and maybe they come to know the Lord and they wouldn't have otherwise because you were there to shake their hand. Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart as if doing it for the Lord, all for the glory of God. Now, let's say maybe you're working a job that you don't particularly like. Maybe you're climbing the ladder toward a job that you really want. Well, don't only do your best when there's someone else there to see what you're doing. God sees all the things, and He knows your heart. Mark Batterson says the true measure of success is not doing a great job when you get your dream job. It's doing a great job at a job you don't like, for a boss you like even less. Remember, if you are faithful and trustworthy with a little, you'll be faithful and trustworthy with a lot. And how you do anything is how you'll do everything. If you do the little things with excellence, you'll do the big things with excellence. Dr. Martin Luther King said it this way: if it falls your lot to sweep streets in life, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have no pause to say, here lived a great sweet sweeper who swept his job well. Live your life in such a way so that when you meet God face to face in heaven, He is happy and smiling and pleased to say, well done, good and faithful servant. Watch this video next to learn more about achieving dreams and goals. Now off you go, girl. Don't despise small beginnings. Be faithful with little and work as unto the Lord. And just start doing the thing. Did you start yet?